So I recently finished the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I was blown away by this game. And so we're going to take a minute and we're going to talk about all the great things about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, as well as a few things that irked me a little bit. But for the most part, I absolutely love this game, and I knew I was going to love it as soon as I saw it at that January Switch presentation back in 2017, and I have to say, I think it fulfilled pretty much all of my expectations. So, like I said, we're going to talk about everything that I love about this game and just some of the things that kind of irked me a little bit. So, if that sounds good, let's go ahead and jump right on into this. So, for those of you who don't know, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a JRPG, more so of an action JRPG, where you explore vast environments, all of which are totally different. You have tons of great characters, lots of different party members, a very deep combat system, and just a really, really strong JRPG in the form of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, the story goes that you play as a character named Rex, who is a salvager on the land of All Rest. And the main point of the game, I don't want to go into the story totally in depth because there's a lot sort of going on with it, and I don't want to have any spoilers for anybody who is still playing this game. But you play as Rex, and the ultimate goal is to get a young woman who Rex just met named Pyra to this mystical land called Elysium, and that is essentially the main goal of this game. Rex and his friends are trying to get Pyra to Elysium. So that's all I really want to talk about the story, because there's a lot sort of going on. But along the way, you meet a lot of different characters, a lot of colorful characters, a lot of really interesting personalities that come with these characters, and along with that, you come across some really vast lands that are just incredible to look at. You've got lands like Gormott, you've got Tantal, I was blanking on the name, but you've got these really great, forest areas. You've got like a snowy area, you've got sort of this industrialized area in More Ardain, and just a lot of really great set pieces and a lot of really great environments to explore, and they look really good on the Nintendo Switch, especially in dock mode. Now, when you play the game in handheld mode or tabletop mode, things can get a little blurry, a little bit low resolution, but for me, I didn't really care. It was just cool to be able to take a JRPG like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with me wherever I went. It was just in this kind of game too, grinding is pretty important, and it's kind of mundane to sit in front of a TV and just grind for a few hours at a time if you don't really have anything else going on. So it was really great to just be able to lay down in bed with this thing and just kill monsters and gain experience points and different things like that. Just being able to play a massive game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 anywhere was a really, really cool way to experience this game. So, like I said, a lot of really cool characters, a lot of really great environments to explore, and so yeah. So going along with the characters, there are different characters called blades that you can acquire, that Rex and his party members can acquire, and each of these blades have different abilities and unique techniques. That's kind of fun to say, unique techniques to use in battle. So for example, Pyra is actually Rex's blade, and her element is fire. So taking on enemies that have a weakness to fire is really beneficial to have Pyra there. Now, along with the abilities that the blades have, drivers who are Rex and the people that control these blades, like I said, there's a lot of different stuff going on within the story, but all these certain drivers have different abilities called arts, and if you're familiar with the Xenoblade Chronicles series, you already know what arts are. They're essentially, like I said, abilities that give the drivers certain ways to attack different enemies within battle. So for example, Rex has an art called Anchor Shot, which essentially takes one of his salvaging gear that he has and basically shoots an anchor into an enemy, and he can pull them and do some damage. But what's really cool about Anchor Shot is it also spawns a health potion that Rex and other party members can sort of pick up and heal the rest of the party. There's also an art that Rex has that lets him deal more damage if he attacks the enemy from behind, as well as the side. So there's a lot of different ways that drivers use arts to take out these certain enemies. And along with that, there are some special abilities that blades have also. They can build their special meter, and once they do that, they can unleash a barrage or a really massive attack that can just sort of stagger the enemy, which is very cool. Going along with combat, there are also blade combos. So each party member within Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you can have 3 in your party all at one time. And so each of these party members can have different blade elements that they can do. Again, the combat is very substantial and very robust and diverse in this game, and so I'm going to try and quickly go over it as best I can for you guys. But essentially, let's say that your first special art attack from Rex with Pyra is a fire attack. So once you do that, there will be an icon on the top right of the screen that has several different paths that you can choose from. So the next path could have a water path, or you could continue with fire, or some other variation. And so let's say, for example, Nia, who is a party member in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, her main blade, Dromark, is a water type blade. So he can unleash his level 2 special, which is a water special, and level 2 because that's, the path that, 1, 2, 3, and all that good stuff. You can do that. And then finally, the third combo you can do, which is either water or fire, whatever the case may be. And then that will deal massive damage as well. So it's very important to keep an eye on your other party members and your other party members' blades to see when they can unleash these ultimate attacks and sort of change the tide of battle, which is really interesting. So lots of really great ways to use combat here, lots of different things to keep track of. Another really important instance is when you complete a blade combo, whatever the element that blade combo ends on will emanate an enemy orb, or an elemental orb surrounding the enemy. So at that point, what you can do is if you have a chain attack ready, you can unleash a chain attack, and each party member will have unlimited time to sort of do a special attack with a certain blade. So Rex can initiate an attack with Pyra, following to Nia with Dromark, and then ultimately to Tora with Poppy, just as an example. And if you break that element orb that's listed at the top of the screen, each character will get to attack that same enemy again within the same chain attack animation. Like I said, lots of really interesting combinations and just tons of different techniques that you can do in combat. And it can get a little overwhelming at first, but for me, I'm still fairly new to JRPGs and things like that, and I played the first Xenoblade Chronicles, and that was a little tricky to get used to at first, but ultimately I found that it was pretty decent. And if you just sort of pay attention to what's going on, you read the tutorials, you just sort of practice on different enemies, it sort of becomes second nature, after a while. So I really like the combat system within Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Again, sort of a little difficult, I guess, to get into at first, but once you sort of practice it and read up on it especially, that can really, change the tide of battle, if I can insert a pun there. But yeah, the combat system in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is fantastic. Now, what exactly do you do with your drivers and blades? Well, you can actually upgrade them. You can upgrade their art strength by collecting points when you defeat enemies in battle. You can also do what's called expand the affinity chart, which is sort of like a skills tree that lets you upgrade certain skills that certain blades and drivers can have. And ultimately, those are very important to take care of because they can raise your attack strength, your dexterity strength. Dexterity strength isn't really a thing, but it can increase their dexterity and different things like that. So it's very important to keep those things in mind, to always sort of, if you've been grinding for quite some time, go in and check out the affinity chart, see if there's any arts that you can level up, because that is very, very important to do. And again, just sort of goes along with the whole role-playing aspect of leveling up, adding different abilities, and different things like that. There's also several different what's called aux cores that you can equip to your blades in particular. Now these can include anything from raising the HP by 20%, increasing strength, having different abilities, be stronger within battle. So let's say that you perform break on an opponent. Again, more combat terms, but if you perform break on an opponent, you can that effect may last longer, different things like that. And in the same vein, there are also pouch items that you can use for the drivers that will sort of, for a shorter period of time, maybe boost strength or boost HP, different things like that. And going along with that, it's also very important to make sure that your blades are upgraded in terms of their weapons. So you can get different weapons chips that can upgrade your blade's abilities and different things like that. So kind of I try to make a quick rundown of the combat system and just sort of the different things that you can expect within Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But the combat system, like I said, is very fun. It's very interesting and very just fun to just take out these enemy monsters and just experimenting with different kinds of blade combos, seeing the enemy's attacks and just seeing how you can sort of respond to it, maybe counterattack and different things like that. There's just so much in this game. There's so many side quests, there's so many different areas to explore, and there's just so much to do. It seems like the game is never ending. And now with the recently announced update coming on March 2nd, there's also going to be adding New Game Plus to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I cannot wait to explore that. That's going to be a lot of fun, just starting from the beginning with all of your levels, like level 80 or whatever the case may be, and just decimating everything. It's going to be really fun, but as a whole, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game that I absolutely adore. I find that a lot of the characters are very likable. A lot of the settings that are displayed here look fantastic. Just exploring different things and things like that. It's really good. I will say that there are a couple of things that irked me in a sense. One thing that I didn't really care for in this game, along with Xenoblade Chronicles, the original game on the Wii and 3DS, was that the navigation is a little wonky sometimes. It's kind of where, you know, let's say that you have to go forward 30 meters and your objective is down. Well, let's say you're going forward 30 meters and then suddenly you come across at a cliff or something and your objective is down, but it's a little further ahead of you and you're like, I have no idea how to get to this spot. You know, what exactly do I do? And it's like you kind of have to navigate and do some trial and error to see, okay, how do I get down there? This is kind of strange. I don't really know where to go or how to do this. And that was, again, like I said, that was something that I also saw in the original game. And what I would hope that they would maybe do in a sequel is sort of do something that like Dead Space did, where you push down on an analog stick and you can kind of see a path of how to get to that particular objective. Now, this game, like I said, is very exploration heavy. There's always a lot of different things to explore and things like that. So kind of, I guess, having just the original navigation system that they have right now could, I guess, sort of bolster that idea of exploration, that you don't really know how to get there, but along the way you can just kind of explore and do your own thing, which I think is really cool. I don't know if that was intentional, but if that's the case, I think that's a really great idea. But for those of us who just sort of want to get through the story and they can go back and explore later, I think that option would have been a little beneficial. I will say that some of the voice acting is also not up to par as, you know, like Nolan North-esque abilities or different things like that. But for me personally, I don't really care about the voice acting. I did play the game in English, you know, with English voices because I didn't really want to read. I just kind of wanted to experience the story in that way. But it's not going to be perfect every single time, but for me, you know, that was something that I noted as I was playing, but it wasn't like a deal breaker or anything like that. And within these different environments, I'm sort of jumping all over the place. I apologize, I'm just sort of talking about the game, just coming out of my own head. So, but as you're walking around these different environments and these different towns, there's a real sense of life that's going on there. You feel like people are actually living there. You feel like these NPCs and characters are just sort of roaming the land, that they actually live there, which is really cool. It sort of adds a real, real in a video game world, but a real element to the town. It just sort of adds a little bit to the setting and different things like that. And within these towns, there's tons of different shops that you can go to. You can purchase books that can boost certain abilities. You can purchase food, drinks, certain accessories that again boost your abilities, and just different things like that. It's really cool to explore, and just going out into this vast world and exploring all these different types of enemy monsters and different things like that. It was really, really cool. So if anybody is a fan of JRPGs or just RPGs in general, and you have a Nintendo Switch and you don't have this game, but you want to check it out, I highly suggest you check out Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's a fantastic game, lots of fun, lots of really great, deep combat mechanics. Again, like I said, it can be a little hard to get into at first, but if you just pay attention, look at the tutorials, just pay attention to your HUD and what's going on screen and different things like that, you should be good to go. And if you've played JRPGs before, you'll most likely have a decent grasp on what's going on. like I said, I am sort of new to RPGs, so I don't know if like the ideas going on with the XENOBLADE Chronicles 2 in terms of combat is especially new, but for me it was new. The whole idea of having blades with different abilities on top of the driver arts was very interesting as well. So for me, it was very interesting to see, and a really cool game mechanic that I have not, seen before. But like I said, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I hope that's okay. I know I can ramble a lot of times, but I just love this game so much. You can see I have the collector's edition right up there, and the steelbook is right on my shelf there, next to the soundtrack of the first game. There's just something about the world of XENOBLADE Chronicles. They just going out into the first area, whether it's Guar Plains in the first game or the Gormat province in XENOBLADE Chronicles 2, and just seeing all the different enemies roaming around, and just kind of seeing, having the game tell you, okay, you're on your own, go for it, explore, do whatever it is that you want to do, upgrade your characters however you want to, get certain blades however you want to. That's something I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about how to get blades. I'll get to that in a second, but just going out and exploring is a really refreshing just thing for RPGs, and just gaming in general. There's nothing like sitting down, coming home from a long day of work or school, and sitting down, popping in an RPG, and just exploring, just getting lost in the world. And that's exactly what XENOBLADE Chronicles 2 lets the player do. And there's a magic in that, and I think this game captures that magic especially well. It's totally fun to just sort of sit down and just explore these vast open worlds. So, again, blades. So, how do you get new blades? Well, when you defeat enemies or complete certain side quests or just do some exploration, you'll come across things called core crystals. And they actually also have some sort of effect in the story of the game, but like I said, I don't really want to talk about that too much. But basically, when you collect core crystals, you can go to the menu and bond blades with certain drivers. So, Rex can bond with a blade, Nia can bond with a blade, and other members of your party can do that as well. And a lot of times you will come across sort of, I don't want to call them throwaway blades, but blades that have subpar abilities, or sort of subpar, just certain aspects about themselves. But you can also come across rare core crystals, which will sort of boost the ability to unlock a rare blade, which are ones that have more of a personality. They have really high stats in terms of strength, auto attack, dexterity, agility, luck, things like that. And what's kind of cool is this is also an instance where Nintendo or Monolith Soft could have actually included microtransactions, but they didn't. So they could have easily said, okay, we'll pay $5 to get 5 rare core crystals, or pay $5 to unlock 2 rare blades or something like that, like automatically. But they didn't do that. They just let the game sort of play by itself and sort of lets the game do that work for you. And it's really cool. I always like unlocking things in game. It feels like you've earned something. It feels a little bit more special as opposed to just taking out the credit card and buying blades or different things like that. So I was really glad that Nintendo and Monolith Soft didn't do that. So it's really cool. So it's sort of like a lottery system. So you'll use a core crystal, and you could either get a rare blade or just a common blade. And so it's really nerve-wracking when you want a rare blade, or you think it's time for a rare blade that you want, and you go and you use a rare blade and you get a common blade, which kind of sucks because rare core crystals are kind of hard to come across, and common core crystals are a bit more common. But when you do get a rare blade, it's a very, very cool experience. Just seeing their animations, just seeing what they look like, what their elemental ability is, it's just very cool. And so I like that sort of concept of having blades come into this. So it kind of reminded me a lot, actually, to Persona. When I've only played Persona 5, but when you play Persona 5, you can unlock, or come across different personas that you can use, and again, each of them have sort of different traits within battle, and the blades sort of do that same thing here, which I thought was really cool to see in the XENOBLADE universe. So I really, really enjoyed that as well. So yeah, I know this video has kind of been all over the place, but like I said, I just wanted to sort of gush about the game for a little bit because it was just a great experience. I had a ton of fun with it. I think I have like 85 hours in this or so, and It was just a really great experience, and I love RPGs. I never liked them as a kid. I always thought they were boring for some reason. I always thought that, you know, they were a little too hard, but now that I'm older and I can appreciate those things a little bit more, RPGs have definitely become one of my favorite gaming genres within the last few years, and I have to say that XENOBLADE Chronicles is one of my favorite RPG franchises. So XENOBLADE Chronicles 2 is a very special game. If you have not picked it up and you're a JRPG fan, you definitely have to do yourself a favor and pick this game up as soon as possible, because it's fantastic and you will love it, guarantee it. So anyway guys, that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, it was kind of all over the place, but like I said, I just sort of wanted to talk about my experience with the game a little bit and just sort of gush about it and talk about it and different things like that. So hopefully you guys found some kind of enjoyment within this video. And like I said, if you haven't picked up the game and this video encourages you to do so, that would be awesome. So anyway guys, that's going to do it for me today. XENOBLADE Chronicles 2, fantastic game, pick it up. Next video, I'm not entirely sure what I am planning on doing. I might do a video on the 1-year anniversary of the Switch, because that's a pretty big deal, especially since it's been selling so well. It's already outsold the Wii U within like 9-10 months, and also reached 1 million sales in France alone, which is kind of crazy to think about, because Nintendo is not really big in Europe, or I guess UK, even though France isn't really in the UK, but you get the idea. So I think I'm going to do a video on that and just sort of talk about the legacy of the Switch so far and what we can expect within the near future. So anyway guys, like I said, XENOBLADE Chronicles 2, fantastic game, pick it up. Love you guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for watching and all the likes. Hopefully my goal for this, I guess, is a little channel update at the end of this video. Like I said, video has no real organization, but hopefully that's okay. I would like to get to 200 subscribers within this year. Of course, you know, by June would be cool, but I want to be more realistic. So if we could get to like 200 subscribers by the end of 2018, that'd be really cool. I think that would be sort of a neat milestone to hit. So please share the video with a friend, tell people about the channel, and just, you know, let people know what's going on with Quiet Line Gaming. So like I said, pretty disorganized video, but I wanted to talk about Xenoblade, and that's what we did, so there we go. So anyway, that's going to do it today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Take care.